You could walk past it 100 times and never notice it. It could be sitting in a jar on your dresser, buried in a box in your attic, or hiding in a roll of pennies from the bank, and yet that single copper coin, the 1941 Lincoln wheat cent, has stunned collectors with values that sound almost unreal. Because in the highest, most perfectly preserved condition, with the right combination of strike, color, and historical survival, this coin has entered conversations that reach a level most people never imagined for a 1 cent piece. A coin that could be worth more than your entire retirement, a coin that might still be out there in circulation right now. A coin whispered about in auction rooms and collector circles, as worth 4 million or more. Now go back to 1941. America is standing on the edge of a turning point. The country hasn't entered World War II yet, but the tension is in the air. Factories are running, people are working, coins are moving through the economy at a speed no one can track. At the Denver Mint, presses are striking Lincoln wheat pennies by the millions. Fresh copper planchets slide into place, the dies come down with force, and another coin is born. No one in that room is thinking about the future collector holding that coin under a lamp 80 years later. No one is imagining that one of those pennies will survive in a condition so perfect it will cause a bidding war. To the people of 1941, it's just money. It buys a newspaper, a cup of coffee, a piece of candy, and then it disappears into circulation. Picture a young soldier in 1942 emptying his pockets before shipping out. The coins go into a small envelope and into a drawer at home. Decades pass. The house changes hands, the drawer is opened. Inside is a group of wheat pennies darkened by time and one of them still glowing faintly red. That's how these stories begin. Not in museums, not in elite collections, but in ordinary moments. A waitress receiving change at a diner. A kid filling a blue coin folder in the 1960s. A family rolling pennies at the kitchen table. And every once in a while, someone notices that one coin looks different. Because most 1941 cents are worn. They've lived a life. The high points of Lincoln's hair are smooth, the wheat lines are faded, the surface has turned deep brown from decades of handling. But a rare few escape that fate. And when you see one for the first time, it doesn't look like a normal coin. The color is alive, a blazing, original red that seems impossible for something so old. The luster moves like light on water when you tilt it. Every detail in Lincoln's coat is sharp. The wheat stalks on the reverse are full and textured. And beneath the date is that small but powerful letter D. That tiny mint mark is the first clue in the story. Because it tells you this coin came from Denver, one of the mints producing enormous numbers of cents at a time when the country needed them more than ever. But numbers alone don't create rarity. Survival does. Condition does. And sometimes mistakes do. Somewhere in the rhythm of those presses, dies began to wear, a crack formed, a slight shift occurred, a planchet entered the striking chamber just a fraction off-center. The result was a coin that carried a tiny mechanical fingerprint from the moment it was made. To most people, it's a defect. To a collector, it's a signature. There are 1941 cents with dramatic die cracks that look like lightning across the surface. There are repunched mint marks where the D shows a shadow of itself. There are sharply doubled details that give the lettering a ghost-like effect. And there are coins so perfectly struck from fresh dies that they look sculpted rather than stamped. Each one tells a different story. Each one creates a different level of demand. At a major coin show, a collector once described the moment he found his finest 1941 D. He wasn't searching for it. He was going through a bag of mixed wheat cents he had bought years earlier and forgotten. Most were brown and worn, and then one flashed in the light, bright red, flawless. He sent it for grading, not expecting anything extraordinary. When the grade came back at the very top of the population, the coin instantly became one of the finest known. When it crossed the auction block, the room changed. Because now this wasn't just a penny. It was a survivor. A time capsule from 1941. A coin that had somehow escaped circulation for generations. The bidding started. Then doubled. Then climbed again. And with every jump the story grew. That's the moment that transforms a coin into a legend. But here's the part that keeps collectors awake at night. Coins like this are still being found. Not every day. Not even every year. But often enough to keep the hunt alive. A roll from the bank. A jar in a closet. An old Whitman folder with one empty space that suddenly gets filled. And the emotional impact of that discovery is impossible to describe unless you've felt it. The moment your heart starts racing because you realize you're holding something that shouldn't exist in that condition. As grading populations became clearer over the years, it revealed just how few truly elite examples of the 1941D survived. Millions were struck, but only a handful remain in the kind of condition that drives record prices. That gap between common and extraordinary is where the entire market lives. One coin worth a few cents, another worth hundreds, another worth thousands. And the finest known examples entering the kind of price territory that makes headlines and fuels the million-dollar conversations. But the most powerful part of this story is not the auction. It's the possibility. Because this coin was never meant to be rare. It became rare because of time, chance, and survival. And that means there could still be one sitting somewhere that no one has looked at closely in decades. So the next time you see a wheat penny, don't just glance at it. Turn it under the light. Look at the color. Study the details. Find the mint mark. Because the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is often just a second of attention. And somewhere out there right now, a 1941D Lincoln wheat penny is waiting in the dark in a jar, a drawer, a roll, or a pocket, for the moment someone finally sees it for what it really is. A survivor. A piece of history. A hidden treasure. And possibly the discovery that changes everything. You've seen this coin before. You've held it, spent it, maybe even dropped it on the ground without thinking twice. But what if I told you that the plain-looking penny with no mint mark, the 1948 Lincoln wheat cent, has shocked collectors with values that climb into life-changing territory? What if the next time you open an old jar of coins, you're staring at a piece of copper that could be worth more than your entire retirement, a coin that could still be hiding in your pocket right now? A coin that in its most elite condition has entered conversations at levels whispered about as worth $4+ more. And the most unbelievable part is this: in 1948 no one saved them. They were everywhere. They moved through soda counters, corner stores, movie theaters, bus stations. They bought newspapers announcing the post-war boom. They passed through the hands of factory workers, returning soldiers, kids buying candy for a nickel. This was not a coin people protected. This was a coin people used. And that is exactly why the story becomes so powerful today. Because rarity is not always about how many were made. It's about how many survived. Imagine a young couple in 1948 rolling their spare change at the kitchen table, sliding bright red wheat pennies into paper wrappers. One coin slips under the cabinet and disappears into the dark for decades. That forgotten coin, untouched by air, untouched by fingers, becomes a time capsule. Fast forward to the present day. A homeowner renovates that same kitchen. The cabinet comes out. A single penny drops onto the floor, still glowing with original mint luster. That's how discoveries like this begin. Not with experts. Not with dealers. But with ordinary people living ordinary lives. A teenager finds one in his grandfather's cigar box. A waitress gets one back in change and notices the wheat stalks. A collector searching through bank rolls sees a flash of color that looks completely different from the rest. And the moment you see it, you know. Because most 1948 cents are dark brown. Worn smooth from decades of use. Lincoln's cheek faded. The wheat line's soft and flat. But the rare survivors, they look alive. The surface is a blazing, fiery red. Light moves across it in a spinning cartwheel effect. Every detail in Lincoln's hair is sharp. The lettering stands up like it was struck yesterday. And under the date there is nothing. No D. No S. That empty space is the first clue. It tells you this coin was born in Philadelphia, the original mint, at a time when America was rebuilding, expanding, and spending coins faster than they could ever be saved. But here where the tension starts to build. Because not all Philadelphia coins are the same. Some were struck from fresh dies with razor-sharp detail. Some came from worn dies and show softness. Some carry tiny mechanical anomalies that collectors search for with magnification and patience. There are doubled letters that create a shadow effect in Liberty. There are die cracks that look like lightning across the surface. There are off-center strikes where the design drifts toward the rim. To most people, these are mistakes. To collectors, they are fingerprints of history. And every fingerprint tells a different story. One of the most talked about moments in modern collecting happened when a roll of wheat pennies that had been sitting in a safe deposit box since the 1950s was finally opened. Inside were coins no one had touched for generations. Among them was a 1948 with no mint mark so perfectly preserved that when it was graded, it entered the population at the very top. When that coin hit auction, something electric happened. Because now it wasn't just a penny. It was one of the finest known. The bidding didn't move in small steps. It jumped, then jumped again. Collectors who had been waiting years for a coin like this suddenly had one chance. And the price reflected that moment. That's the difference between a coin worth 1 cent and a coin worth a fortune. Condition, color, strike, survival. As grading reports became more detailed over the years, the truth became impossible to ignore. Millions were struck, but only a microscopic number exist in flawless red condition today. And every time one appears for sale, the entire market watches. Because it resets the scale. It tells collectors what perfection is worth. But the real power of this story isn't in the auction room. It's in your house. In the jar on your shelf. In the box of coins you inherited and never opened. Because these coins were never supposed to be rare. They became rare by accident. By being forgotten. By being saved without intention. And that means the next great discovery will not come from a museum. It will come from someone like you. Someone who decides to look closely. Tilt the coin under a light. Check the color. Study the details. Notice the missing mint mark. Feel the weight of a piece of history that has survived since 1948. Because somewhere right now there is a 1948 Lincoln wheat penny with no mint mark sitting in the dark, still carrying its original red glow, still waiting for the moment someone finally sees it for what it truly is. A survivor of the post-war boom. A silent witness to 70-plus years of American life. A coin that has traveled through time unnoticed. And the next time you get change or open an old drawer or walk past that jar of coins without thinking, remember this. The discovery that changes everything never looks dramatic at first. It looks like a single penny. And it's still out there,